I found the texts at 2 a.m. while Jake was passed out drunk on our couch. His phone kept buzzing, and when I grabbed it to silence it, there they were. Not just messages from some random woman named Melissa, but a whole group chat. Jake, Melissa, and his mother Linda, planning their little rendezvous like it was a goddamn family outing. She'll be at book club Thursday. Coast is clear that was Linda. My mother-in-law. The woman who'd helped me pick out my wedding dress 3 years ago. Jake had been responding with heart eyes emojis and promises about what he'd do to Melissa in our bed. The bed where I'd been lying next to him every night, wondering why he suddenly smelled like vanilla perfume and why he'd started working late so often. But it was Linda's messages that made my hands shake. She's getting suspicious. Be more careful. And then, you deserve happiness, Jake. She never appreciated you anyway. 7 years. We've been together for 7 years. Married for 3. I'd given up my dream job in Seattle to move closer to his family. I'd spent every holiday listening to Linda's passive-aggressive comments about my cooking, my career, my inability to give her grandchildren yet. And this whole time, she'd been actively helping her son destroy our marriage. The worst part? Reading back through months of messages, I could see how it started. Linda had introduced them at some work function. Melissa is so sweet, Jake. She really gets you. Then came the group dinners where I was mysteriously uninvited. Girls' night, Linda would say when I asked why Melissa was there but I wasn't. You understand? I understood now. I understood that while I was home making dinner for Jake, he was at his mother's house with another woman. While I was working overtime to pay for the house we'd bought together, he was planning his next hookup in our bed. While I was trying to save our marriage by suggesting counseling, they were all laughing at me in their group chat. The messages went back 4 months. 4 months of she's so clueless and Linda, you're the best wingwoman ever and I can't wait to be free of her. Free of me. The woman who'd supported him through 2 job losses. Who'd held his hand through his father's funeral. Who'd believed him when he said he was just stressed about work, that's why he'd been distant. I screenshotted everything. Every message, every photo, every cruel joke at my expense. My hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped, replaced by something cold and calculating. Jake stirred on the couch, mumbling something about Melissa in his sleep. I looked at this man I'd loved for 7 years and felt nothing. Nothing but a growing plan forming in my head. I knew what I had to do. But first, I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly what kind of man Jake was, and what kind of mother Linda had been to me. Thursday came. Jake left for work at his usual time, kissing my cheek like he had every morning for 3 years. Linda texted me about book club, reminding me it was at Sarah's house this week. I texted back that I'd be there. Except book club was at my house this week. It had always been at my house on the 3rd Thursday of the month. Linda had lied to give them the perfect alibi. I drove to Linda's house instead. Jake's car was already there, parked next to a red Honda I'd seen at several family gatherings. Melissa's car. I didn't storm in. I didn't scream or throw things. Instead, I set up my phone to record and walked through the unlocked front door like I belonged there. Linda? I brought those cookies you asked for. I found them in the living room. Jake's pants around his ankles, Melissa bent over the same couch where I'd sat opening Christmas presents last year. Linda was in the kitchen, visible through the doorway, arranging flowers and humming like this was all perfectly normal. The silence when they saw me was deafening. Jake scrambled for his clothes. Melissa grabbed a throw pillow to cover herself. Linda just smiled. Oh, honey. You're early. That's when I knew. This wasn't just an affair. This was a planned execution of our marriage, and Linda had been the mastermind all along. I held up my phone, still recording. Not early enough, apparently. Jake was saying my name, reaching for me, but his voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. I was already gone, already planning, already 3 steps ahead of his pathetic explanations. I turned and walked out without a word. Behind me, I could hear Linda telling Jake to calm down, that this might actually be better. That now they could be together openly. She was right about one thing. Now we could all be honest about what we really were. The divorce papers were filed Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, the video was on Facebook, tagged with every mutual friend, family member, and coworker I could think of. By Tuesday, Jake's boss had seen it. His company had a strict morality clause for management positions. Jake lost his job Wednesday. But I wasn't done with Linda. See, Linda worked as a school administrative assistant. Had for 15 years, was 2 years from retirement with full pension. She was also a deacon at their church, ran the ladies' auxiliary, and prided herself on being the moral center of their social circle. The video showed exactly what kind of moral center she really was. Arranging flowers while her son fucked another woman in her living room, in the house where his wife had spent every holiday for 7 years. The school board met Thursday. Linda was placed on administrative leave pending investigation Friday. The church council met Sunday. Linda's deacon position was revoked Monday. The ladies' auxiliary elected a new president Tuesday. Jake called me Wednesday, screaming about how I'd ruined their lives, how I'd gone too far. I let him scream for a full minute before I spoke. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? Did you really think I'd just quietly disappear so you and Mommy could play house with your whore? He tried to tell me about Melissa leaving him, about how she blocked his number the second things got complicated. About how Linda was having a nervous breakdown, about how I was destroying innocent people. Innocent. That's what he called them. I laughed until I couldn't breathe. Innocent? Jake, I have 4 months of text messages. I have photos of you in our bed with her. I have your mother calling me worthless while setting up your dates. What part of that is innocent? The silence stretched between us like a canyon. I loved you, he finally whispered. No, I said. You love the idea of having both. The stable wife at home and the exciting girlfriend on the side, with Mommy's blessing. You loved having your cake and eating it too. You never loved me enough to not destroy me. He hung up. That was the last time we spoke directly. The settlement came through in December. I kept the house, the car, and most of our savings. Jake moved in with Linda, the only person who would still speak to him. 2 grown adults, skulking around their small town where everyone knew exactly what they'd done. I heard through mutual friends that Linda had to take early retirement at a fraction of her pension. That Jake was working at a gas station because no one in his field would hire him after the video went viral in their professional circles. That they'd both tried to claim I'd invaded their privacy, but revenge porn laws don't apply when you walk into someone else's house and find them in the act. I also heard that Melissa had moved 3 states away and changed her social media to private. Smart girl. Too bad she hadn't been smart enough to avoid a man whose mother was pimping him out. The funny thing is, I'm not even angry anymore. I wake up in our house, my house now, and I feel clean. Like I'd been carrying around poison for months and finally coughed it all up. My real friends rallied around me. My career took off without Jake's constant undermining disguised as support. I travel now, something he always had excuses to avoid. I'm dating again, men who don't need their mother's permission to be decent human beings. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd never found those messages. If I just lived in ignorance while they laughed at me behind my back. If I'd grown old wondering why my husband seemed so distant, why my mother-in-law was so cold, why I always felt like I was failing at a game where no one would tell me the rules. But I did find them. And I decided that if they wanted to destroy my life, they were going to pay the full price for that decision. People think revenge is about anger, but it's not. It's about balance. It's about making sure that when someone tries to erase you, they don't get to walk away clean. Jake and Linda thought they could dispose of me quietly, that I'd just disappear and leave them to their happy little family unit. They forgot that I'd been part of that family too, that I knew where all the bodies were buried, that I had nothing left to lose. They wanted me gone? Fine. But I wasn't going to vanish into nothing while they lived happily ever after on the ashes of my marriage. Some people call it going too far. I call it going exactly far enough to make sure they never forget the cost of what they took from me. Every time Jake looks at his mother now, he remembers that she helped him lose everything worth having. Every time Linda looks at her son, she remembers that helping him cheat cost her the reputation she'd spent 60 years building. That's not revenge. That's just the bill coming due, and I was the one who made sure it got delivered.